Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's episode of the podcast, we are joined by second year player from the Western University women's hockey team, Emily Ignagni. Emily, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. And how's everything going?
Everything's great. How are you?
I'm doing well, just started off spring break, so I'm just enjoying the time off in the middle of the school year.
Very nice.
Well, let's start off by talking about the beginning of your hockey career and kind of work all the way up to where you are today. So, doing research on yourself, it says that you're from Caledon, Ontario. Hopefully, I pronounced that name correctly. But how did you start playing hockey and talk about growing up there?
Yeah, you were close. It was Caledon. You almost had it.
It's all good.
Um, I started playing in Brampton about when I was 7, but I started figure skating first. So it's because my sister started at 5, and then I just really liked skating, and then switched into hockey at 7, and started playing in Brampton, and I just loved it. Like a couple of my cousins played in hockey, so my parents kind of just asked me, and I bawled my eyes out the first time I went on the ice because I didn't think I wanted to play, and then after 10 minutes of skating around, I really liked it, and then I just stuck with it.
Who was your favorite player growing up? I'm assuming it was someone on the Leafs.
I, um, when I was growing up, I was a huge fan of Phil Kessel.
Nice.
Which, I'm a little embarrassed to be a Leafs fan, but they've been struggling for a long time. But I'm a diehard Leafs fan, but I was also a fan of Cassie Campbell. 10 minutes from my house, there's a Cassie Campbell Community Center, which is where I learned to skate. And so my parents kind of told me a little bit about Cassie Campbell when I was younger. So she was probably one of my biggest like mentors when I was younger.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think Phil Kessel is awesome just because like you would not expect him to be the number one Iron Man streak in the NHL. And I just think like his diet is so unbelievable and how he still maintains
Yes.
to be an NHL athlete is unbelievable. I have a lot of respect for it, honestly.
Yeah, it's really funny. He's an interesting guy.
Now, before college hockey, you played for the Etobicoke Dolphins. Talk about how did you get the opportunity, I guess, to play for that team, and then we'll sort of talk about your experience there.
Mhm. So I kind of like I say from about Pee-wee to about midget, I played at Stony Creek, which is in Hamilton, which is about a 50-minute drive from Caledon, so it was a far commute. And I loved it there. Like the organization was great. Like that's where I made some of my best friends. And in grade 11 and 12, I sort of wanted to be closer to home because I was trying to focus on school and worrying about university and where I wanted to play. And so Etobicoke was only about 25-minute drive. And I loved Joe Bukovich, like the coach. He was great, and he gave me the opportunity to play there, and I loved it.
What's the best memory you have with the Etobicoke?
It's kind of there's a lot, but probably my favorite one is in grade 12, we finished first in the PW, and we swept our first round of playoffs, and that was just probably like closest to the best hockey that as a team I've been on, like that we played, and we were close to going into second round, but COVID hit. And it was just, I just remember going into practice that week being so pumped because we were ready to go into second round and the whole team was just on the same page. And I really think we could have gone the whole way that year, but
Yeah,
what
no, I
can you
understand.
do?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I feel like the worst part of it is just the what if. Like I rather would have lost a championship game and know that at least we put it out all on the line and not sort of realize what could have happened if it did happen. So that's, I
Hmm.
guess that I feel like that's a bad feeling that people don't really talk about enough.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very bittersweet, but I mean, I was happy to end at least my minor hockey with some of my best friends I still talk to today. So, yeah.
Now, I guess how did your experience in the PWHL help prepare you for college hockey?
Yeah, it's a grueling season. The PW is very, very long. There's games every weekend. Like it feels like you play more games than you do practices, and you're only practicing twice a week, and you basically are practicing twice a week, and then you're playing twice a week. So, and then you got workouts on top of that. So it was like I think it really, really prepares you for um after high school, like any type of hockey, because it's like especially like in Etobicoke, Joe would like try and um like bring like OHL to like the girls side and just give us like the best opportunities like with our change room or with like the merch that we get. And so I loved it as a whole, and it was just really great, and I feel like it wasn't too hard of a transition to university from it, so it was really good.
Now, talk about your recruiting process with Western and what made you want to go there versus other schools you might have looked at.
Mhm. So a big reason I chose Western is because um, I knew what program I wanted to do. So the way I kind of did the recruiting process may be different from other girls, but I was more like, I kind of want to choose where I want to go in school or like where what I want to take in university and then sort of gauge it based on like do I like the program do I like the hockey program, do I like the coach, like would it be okay living here? And then a big portion of that was I wanted to be close to home, not too far but not close enough that I could drive home. So it's like Western's about 2 hours from my house, and I really liked the Western hockey program. They seemed to be really good, and then I loved my program and I wouldn't change it for the world. Like I love it. So
What was like the biggest adjustment you had to make in college, both on and off the ice?
probably being on the ice like every day and managing my school. So I had a lot of classes in first year. I had 7 courses, so it took
Wow.
up a lot of my time. Yeah. The program I'm in is overload courses. So it was a big adjustment, especially like in PW, you only have practices twice a week. So it was like Tuesday, Thursday, and now it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so constantly there's like a 3 to 4 hour chunk of every single day that's taken out to do hockey, which is great because it gives me a break from school. But university is a huge step in terms of like the workload from high school. So that was probably the biggest adjustment is my time management skills and just being able to do my school with hockey.
And how do you balance academics and hockey? Because I saw that you're an engineering major, so that's something that I could never do. It's way too hard for me, so tip my cap to you for that. But how do you sort of balance both hockey and academics?
So yeah, I love engineering. It's really great, but it's a lot of work. And I have like a daily, monthly, yearly calendar. Like I have to be like on the ball with everything, like completely organized. I have like my own separate hockey calendar so I know what's going on. It's just in terms of like being on top of things. So I'm not going to leave the assignment to the last day because I'm going to be too stressed because I'm going to have hockey. And I personally think that hockey has always helped me with my time management skills because it's like I need to finish this because I'm going to play hockey. Whereas other people would just procrastinate it, right? Because they don't have anything else to do. And yeah, but this year I was actually a business major because I'm doing a dual degree. So I didn't have Eng this year. So it was different. It was kind of nice.
Yeah. What made you want to be, I guess, a business engineer?
um, that's a good question. In high school, I really liked math and science, so that kind of sparked engineering. And then I also, both my parents are in business and have talked a lot about it for a long time. So I kind of liked both, and I didn't want to choose, and that was part of why I knew Western had the dual degree, and that kind of sparked my interest towards that. And like I don't even think I could choose like if I like engineering or business more. Like I really like them both. So this program is just the best thing for me because I have the chance to do both and while playing hockey, which so it's like three things that I love that I do like every day. So
Yeah.
if you love it, like you make time for it and you figure it out. So I've always just been able to, just organize my time. So
Now, your first year in college, you didn't get to play any games due to COVID. How did you handle that challenge of not playing any games during your first year? And I guess what'd you do during that time period to prepare yourself for your eventual first game in college hockey?
yeah, it was a big transition. Like I was happy that we were on the ice. We had to wear a mask. Uh, Sorry, one second.
It's all good.
Um, in my first year, I had to wear like a mask on the ice, which wasn't great because nobody wants to wear a mask on the ice because you're constantly like breathing. So it's not really fun. And the way I like got around it was I'm on the ice and I'm like with my friends, and then outside of hockey, I would kind of just spend time with my years. We went to get like ice cream or like watch movies or something. So that kind of built like my friendship within girls on the team.
Now let's talk about the first year of college hockey that you actually got to play games. You got your very first collegiate goal against Brock. Talk a little bit about that goal and where do you keep the puck today?
Yeah, it was really funny. Um, I remember taking a shot from the point. and it went in, and my D partner skated across the blue line to me, jumped on top of me, and I fell to the ice. Um, it was kind of like we were both celebrating. She was so happy for me, and she's like one of my best friends today. I actually keep the puck. It's on my nightstand. Um, I keep a lot of hockey stuff like around my room. It's just like when I'm doing school, it's just another thing that I look at. It's just something I love and keeps me going. And that puck means a lot to me. So,
Now, you guys got your first playoff win against Waterloo that season as well. Talk a little bit about that playoff win that you had and what it meant to your team for regards to sort of building the program for this season, next season, and all that stuff, especially with your class since it was the first playoff experience as well.
hmm Waterloo's from when I've been in university, Waterloo's consistently been a top team. So I think sort of our mindset going into the game was if we don't show up, like we might get killed. So it was almost like we came in fighting way more, like harder, and we all had the same mindset that we got to show up, and they might be thinking that they're going to win, so we might be able to take advantage as the underdog. And I think that's what ended up happening is that we really played together as a team, and that like I just remember going back to the change room and everyone was just like, I can't believe that happened. Like this is so crazy. Like, but that's also another thing that you kind of learn about in OUA hockey. Like any game is up for grabs. Like it doesn't matter if it's the last place team playing the first place team. Like if somebody doesn't show up, if a team has a bad game, like you can pull through if your team comes together when it's time to.
Now, you lost to Brock in the OUA West final that season. Even though you lost that game, what did you take away from it that has helped you with this past season and this season, and how you sort of use that? I guess I feel like people learn a lot from losses sometimes. I'm just curious if you learned anything from that OUA West final loss that you think has helped you for this season and I guess next season as well.
Yeah, that was definitely a tough loss. We all wanted to go to nationals. I think we were on a high from beating Waterloo, but I also think Brock was on the high because they also had an upset. So we were both kind of in the same position, like who's going to make it to nationals. And I remember the game ending and we came to the change room. And the thing that we kind of spoke about, like our leadership team and just the team as a whole before the coach came in, was like, this is just the beginning. Like we're gonna be here a lot, like in because we had a pretty young team because the entire team basically stayed the same this year, and we all just kind of talked about how we got to stick together and we just come back next year, and we came back playing Brock hard next year, and we never forgot it, and we brought that game with us every time we played them this season because it was like we don't want to go back to that place where we were when we were sitting in the dressing room and we lost to them. So yeah.
Now, heading into this past season, what was one thing you wanted to work on regarding your game?
I think one thing was maybe just uh just passing because I found that when our team was passing, as in like good breakout passes, like in the neutral zone, like moving the puck really quickly, that was when we were playing our best. And so I'm a huge team player and I just love when the team is just working well. And if I can do one thing better for the team, it would be making like crisp passes and getting it as fast as possible. And then that was just when our team was playing our best. So I tried to focus on that personally.
And just talk about the biggest improvement you think you've made to your game from this past season. Was it those crisp passes, doing zone breakouts, or do you think it was something else that you sort of didn't expect?
I think I focused on game film a lot this season. So I think it increased my like awareness or kind of like my hockey IQ on the ice. So it'd be things like when I'm watching game film, maybe I wouldn't look over my shoulder and see that in the film and be like, I didn't realize that there was somebody behind me. So that helped me a lot. And watching other people play because I'm also watching the film of like others. It really helps like your creativity within the game. And I did think that I improved my passes because it was something that was constantly on my mind, like in practice and in games. And I just really put a focus on it and an emphasis. So I did think that that also went better this year.
Now, talk about what it's like playing in youth sports in the OUA division and just the teams you face every weekend.
Yeah, I enjoy playing like every single team because every single team is different. And then the whole thing of it is as a team, we can't be like, oh, we're playing a last place team. Like, we can't show up. As I said again, like, you could get beat by the last place team. Like, it's just like you got to show up every weekend. And I love traveling to the different ranks and kind of seeing, the different facilities and bus trips with the girls. So I love the whole season. It's really fun.
What's your favorite road arena to play in?
It would definitely be TMU. Like hands down, like there's so much history. Like I love downtown Toronto. I only live like 40 minutes from it. And it's like the Maple Leaf, like where they used to play. So my parents also love that rink too, and they always come and watch when we're playing TMU because that rink just like the change rooms are nice and the stands are gorgeous and it's just like overall it's just really, really nice.
I heard it's like like up in another level, so you have to like go up like on these like escalators just to get there, which is pretty interesting as well.
Yeah, so you like the bus comes in this way and you take your bags out of the bus, like in the middle of the streets in Toronto, so it's kind of scary. And then
Yeah.
you go up like this escalator, another escalator, and then the rank's like at the top here. But the entire like facility is just gorgeous. Like it looks like they built it today. Like it's so nice.
Now, obviously, you're heading into your third year in university hockey next season. So, I guess what type of leadership do you want to bring to the team next year? Are you thinking you're going to be more of a vocal or lead by example type of player?
I think that something big is like compete and practice is just like showing leadership on the ice. Like you don't need the C or A on your chest, but if you're constantly working in practice, you're pushing. Like if I'm trying to score every single time, I'm pushing my goalies to be better. If I'm trying to compete every single time I go into the corner and I beat somebody, like they're gonna get upset. And so if you keep pushing your teammates in practice, like that brings up the compete level, and then that brings our play to a whole other level, like when we're playing in season. And then another thing is just being vocal, like on and off the ice. So being somebody that's approachable. So, for example, like when I was in my first year, I loved the fifth years because I didn't feel this barrier between the first and fifth years. Like I couldn't talk to them. Like they were super helpful, like with my class schedules or not even hockey related. But you just have to have this level of respect for your teammates. If they're first year, if they're second year, it doesn't matter. And that brings like the chemistry within the team and it shows on the ice. So a big thing is just making their first years and maybe closer to the first and second years like comfortable on the team and just being like approachable for them to want to talk to you is a big thing for me too.
Now, what are your team's goals and expectations for next year as well on the ice?
Yeah, I think that we're getting a completely new team next year. I think there was, I think, 11 seniors this year that were graduating. So it's a very, very young team. So that's also why the barrier is really important for us because I'll be close to one of the vets next season that we bring them to the team and like have open arms for them. And I think what we want to do is just up or compete like constantly like in the games and we're going to really focus on our strength and conditioning so when we go into the overtime and your shootouts like you're at top notch conditioning so you can just be performing at your best so yeah.
So we're now in a segment I like to call the non-hockey segment, where I ask you some non-hockey questions just to get to know you and your teammates a little bit more off the ice. So first non-hockey question is, what music are you into?
This I would say this is a loaded question because I love EDM, but that's also to do with I listen to that when I work out. I listen to that like I have a like something like 20-hour playlist to listen to before hockey games. So I do love that kind of music, but I also am a huge country girl. I love country music. I went to like the Calgary Stampede last summer, so that's also, so I'm very much like, people would say those are completely different genres, but I really like music. So I kind of like have a broad range of genres.
Yeah, I'm very similar to that. I like basically every genre of music, maybe except for like heavy metal, but
Yeah.
I just don't understand how someone can listen to one specific genre of music. I feel like that's not common, but I feel like it kind
Hmm.
of is because I feel like most people I've met people that like seem to only be into a particular type of music. So
Hmm.
I do agree with you on that, but who's your favorite country artist? Does Canada have different like country artists than here in the US?
Uh, no, I'd say it's pretty much the same. You might call me basic, but I'd probably say Morgan Wallen.
Yeah, well, he is the best in my opinion as well.
Yeah, I do. I do really like him. Yes. His new album is really good.
Yeah, no, I do like it a lot. What's your favorite song off that?
Oh my gosh, I have like 10 like songs and I just flow through all 10 and I can't even pick one. Like I just like all of them. Most of the time when I'm in the car, I just click like play to the playlist and then because
Yeah.
I just find the music like calming. So yeah.
I think mine is either like 98 Braves, just because I'm a big sports guy, obviously, and I like how he sort of
Yeah.
incorporates sports in music. And Tennessee Fan, that's sort of the same similar song to that one as well. And
Yeah,
then
those ones are good.
probably I liked I've been listening to Had It a lot. That's another one that I've been sort of
Hmm.
listening to from the album.
Hmm. Those ones are good too.
Now, what is your most embarrassing hockey moment?
I won't lie, I have a lot of them. Like very, very many. But one that probably sticks out would be coming out of the penalty box. For some reason, I was holding my stick like this.
Yeah.
So then it like was a barrier and I like tried to get on the ice and then it kind of like bounced me back. And the ref like stopped play to come over to me to see if I was okay because I bounced back in the penalty box. But yeah, that wasn't my best moment. So I've had a lot of embarrassing moments though. I'm sure a lot of hockey players could say the same.
Yeah, I've had similar one. I fell on the bench doing backward skating drills back in youth hockey days, so it happens sometimes. As long as
Yeah.
there wasn't like the camera wasn't on that when it took place, that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Now let's ask you some questions about some of your teammates. First one is, who is the funniest on the team?
The funniest?
Yes.
Oh, hands down, uh, Gabby or Gabrielle LaHoo. She's my D partner. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would say that. She's hilarious.
Which teammate takes the longest to get back to any text messages that you send?
Oh, that's a good question. I would honestly say there's a lot of people that are pretty quick with their phones. Like when we have our team group chat, like a lot of people are quick to respond, but uh first one that comes to mind is Sarah Irwin for some reason.
Who has the best chirps on the team?
Miss Troops on the team. Um, I'd probably say Kennedy Ward for that one. I used to play with her in Etobicoke, so I heard all about her chirps on ice.
What was some of your favorite ones that you can remember that you can obviously share on the pod?
Some of her chirps.
Yeah, that you've
Oh
heard.
gosh, they're inappropriate. I can't share them on here.
I was just wondering if there might have been one PG-14 one, you never know.
um, I don't know if it was Kennedy. It was somebody on my Etobicoke team, but just like um something stupid as like like a girl's like stand on my net and then one of them would be like that net's not yours like it's the rink's net or, so, or like something like bizarre like that like just
Yeah.
very yeah.
Who has the best style on the team besides yourself?
Besides myself,
Yeah.
um I would say there's a lot of girls that have very good style. I would say when they come into the rink there's a lot that I'm like, oh, I like that jacket or else where they get it from, but I'd probably say uh Emma Catalano, our goalie. She has a lot of different jackets and she looks different every time and she always looks very put together.
Now, three more non-hockey questions. First one is, what's the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Um, Specifically like from the news, I was following up on the Murdoch mystery or the murders. Like it was just on the news and my grandma was kind of telling me about it and I couldn't believe I don't know if you know if you're up with that, but it
I
was
have
just
no idea. I've been
you don't
sort of
know.
living under a rock.
Okay. It was all over the news. It was just this lawyer that was on trial because he apparently murdered his wife and son and he was a lawyer. And so he was on the stand and it was just kind of interesting to see how the lawyer answered the questions that one of his like colleagues was asking him. So that was kind of that it was crazy, but it was all over the news and they were talking about it. So that kind of caught my eye recently.
Yeah, probably most newsworthy thing has just been the weather. That's mostly what I pay attention to regarding the news. I feel like it's probably not a good thing to sort of stay out of current events, but I just can't do it just because it makes me very anxious.
Yeah, that's true. No, there's a lot of stuff on the news that also makes me anxious. Like that made me anxious just hearing about it. Like it gives me the
Yeah.
chills. It's scary.
What if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Um, I'd kind of want to have lunch with
Phil Kessel,
Bobby.
that'd be cool.
Phil Kessel's funny, but probably Wayne Gretzky or Bobby Orr. Like
Yeah.
it's very much a hockey thing to say, but I just kind of wanted to ask them like maybe when they were younger, like did they have any idea that they were gonna be, these absolute like icons in hockey and just like so many people's idols or like when did they know that they wanted to be in the NHL? Was it at like 5 years old that they're like, I'm gonna be in the NHL? Or like when did it really hit them that they like made it and they were like one of the best and will always be the best? Like they're super inspirational, so that would be cool.
Yeah, I guess I'll go with a similar answer. I'll say Connor McDavid, just
Yeah.
because he's such a talented player, but like
Hmm.
everyone, I sort of wonder like how he's sort of like, does he know he's good or does he just sort of like try to be super humble about it and all that kind of stuff?
That's also true. Yes.
Because I've always wondered, like, when you ever watch these NHL players, like, obviously, like, we all know they're good, but I wonder if, like, they think, like, yeah, I'm a good hockey player. I know that. It's just something, it's a weird thought I've had before.
Yeah, that's so true because they get money and it's for a living, but they have to constantly think, I think that they need to think that they're not the best because that's the only way that they're going to get
Yeah.
better. Because if you think you're the best, then you're going to stop trying and you're going to stop putting forth effort to get better. So, yeah.
And then last now hockey question is if there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play yourself?
I'd say Emma Stone because she's also a ginger, so and she's a really good actress. I like a lot of her movies.
Yeah. I'd say that's tough. I would say sort of Spider-Man-ish because she was in the Spider-Man movies. Tom Holland. I look nothing like him, but I feel like he would do a good job playing me, and I think we're also the same height. So um yeah, I feel like I want someone who's like under 6 foot to play me just because I feel like people that are below 6 feet don't get enough love sometimes. So I'll probably
Yeah,
say,
that's fair. Everyone loves Tom Holland though.
oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Now getting back to some hockey questions now. For all the younger people that are listening to this episode, what advice would you give them on what it takes to make it to college hockey where you are today, especially in Canada since you're playing youth sports?
Hmm. Um, I think the biggest thing is just uh it's a cliche, I know, but like working hard when no one's watching. So that's like for me personally, like I shot like 100 pucks a day when I was like 10 to 15. Like I go outside with my dad or my sister. We made it like a fun game. Like, okay, who can hit the target as many times as they can? Or in my basement, I got my dad to like get a bunch of like slippery tiles. So I practiced my stick handling. And nobody told me to do this, but it's just because when you're so passionate about something, you just want to continually get better and it really pays off. And maybe it's not going to pay off in the first game that I play, but over time, like if you keep working hard and you keep pushing yourself, like it'll pay off in the future. And the biggest thing is just you have to believe in yourself, and it can't be your parents, it can't be your coaches. Like you just have to push yourself. And if you believe you can do something, like there's no one stopping you from doing it.
What should be done to help grow women's hockey, in your opinion?
I think there needs to be like more awareness for it and more ways to see it. Like I always struggle to even find like where the women's hockey's playing or like it's not really like sometimes it's on Instagram, but I don't really see it like on the news as much as like let's say like the NHL and the OHL and like even the OHL. Like everyone knows like all the teams and it's like I just feel like there's not enough maybe like social media presence for women's hockey so that it doesn't really get out because I know a lot of people do like watching hockey in general because we're in Canada. Like it's huge in Canada.
Yeah.
And if they had more maybe I don't know, like marketing it that like oh, okay, there's like if you get these tickets, you'll have a chance for a draw or something like that would maybe bring more awareness or more people to watch it, which would be nice.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like here in the US, college hockey is obviously sort of what the OHL is like in Canada, and I think there, if I feel like if women's hockey did some sort of similar stuff to what men's hockey does to market itself, I feel like it would grow a little bit, like having the Frozen Four like in
Yeah.
April instead of having it in the middle of March, and with all the basketball tournaments that are going on, and I just feel like there's little tweaks that they could make that I think would help get more people to watch. So I'm assuming it's the same thing in Canada as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything you just said. Yeah.
Well, do you have any shout outs you want to give to any of your teammates, family members, friends, or if you want to say something, the floor is all yours. Or if there's someone we should interview next, let me know. I'll be happy to do it. But the floor is all yours.
Uh, I want to give a shout out to Olivia Walline. She's on Penn State, playing D1 hockey. She's one of my best friends. I met her when I was like 10 years old. Um, we played against each other and I played with her for the longest time. She's one of my greatest friends. And also like Taylor Lum, who plays on uh St. Lawrence University. Like those two are probably like lifelong friends. Like I still see them today and I just want to shout them out because they're a big reason of why I loved hockey. Like that's why you come to the rink. You come for the girls, like to be with other people who share the same love of the sport that you do. And I love them so much, and I miss them a lot because they're quite far from me now, but I still keep in touch with them. So yeah.
Do you still hang out during the summer?
Yep. I
That's
recently saw them. Like actually Taylor Lum was in the Olympics. She played for Team China, so I watched her there. And I go to the mall with Liv sometimes, or I'll see like Taylor like to play golf. Like we play like other sports together, same with Liv and yeah, so it's
that's
really nice
awesome.
seeing them. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Emily, though, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate your time. It means a lot. And thank you so much for sharing your story with me. I had a good time listening to you and getting the chance to meet you as well. So take care and stay safe. And good luck for the rest of your future hockey endeavors and future endeavors as well.
Thank you so much for having me.